Hey everyone, I'm back, and today we're going to be talking about Suicide Squad. And this movie came out in 2016, and it's the first Suicide Squad, not to be confused with The Suicide Squad, just Suicide Squad. And this movie is directed by David Ayer, who I'm not really familiar with. I don't think I've seen any of his movies. I saw this movie once when it came out in theaters, and haven't seen it since, and I thought the movie was just fine back then, as I did with a lot of DC movies back then, like from the DC Extended Universe, if that's even what it's called anymore. I think they might have changed it. I don't know. I haven't been keeping up with them really. But anyways, this movie was something I was curious about revisiting, just to see how it would hold up, comparing it to The Suicide Squad, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And this one, holy crap, was this bad. It was so much worse than I remembered it being. And just about everything anyone said negatively about this movie is right. And this one was just half kind of laughing at it. The rest of it just so boring and painful. And this movie is 2 hours long, and it feels it. It barely moves at certain points in the film. And the only entertaining stuff in the movie is like the first 10 minutes when we're getting introduced to all these different characters, and we get some really awful dialogue. And Jared Leto is absolutely hilarious in the movie. In this movie, Jared Leto, he goes all out, and it's kind of funny to watch. And Margot Robbie, to some extent, she's at least, I felt like she was trying, but everyone else, as far as performances go, they were just kind of bad. Like Will Smith, I didn't buy him as Deadshot. I just was watching the movie, just looking at him and just thinking to myself, I feel like I'm watching a hero trying to be a villain, and it just doesn't work for me. And that's how I felt the entire time. Viola Davis was just bad in this movie. Every single scene she's in, her performance just feels very underperformed, for lack of a better word, because I just look at her and I can tell that she looks like she doesn't want to be there. Like, she looks bored out of her mind, as do a lot of people in this movie. Like, they just look like they're just waiting to get a paycheck, and that's literally how I felt the entire movie. Except for maybe Jai Courtney. Like Captain Boomerang. Like, I didn't really find any of the comedy funny, except for one joke by Captain Boomerang at the end of the film. And I'm going to spoil it to you right now. It's pretty funny. And I don't think this is really a spoiler, because anyone who's interested in seeing this movie already has. And if you haven't seen the movie, don't. Because it's terrible. It's just really painful, and I'll get into more why later. But to my one positive, there was one joke that I liked, and so spoilers for one joke, but honestly it doesn't even matter. So there's your spoiler warning. So let's just get to the one spoiler of the film. So, at the end of the film, when all this crazy stuff has happened, everyone's back in prison, and they get something that they wanted out of it, and you see all these different characters getting one thing that they wanted, Deadshot getting to see his daughter, and Harley Quinn getting an espresso machine or whatever, Killer Croc got a TV, etc., etc., and what was notable for me was Captain Boomerang, and I found it funny that out of all things that he could have requested for, it's kind of just implied. They don't exactly say it, they just show it, and what he requested was that everything's going to be the same, but his guard is going to be a woman for him to hit on. I was like, oh, that's kind of funny. Like, I wasn't expecting that, and it caught me off guard, and that's what I liked about it. And the rest of the comedy is horrible and painfully unfunny, and The characters are very annoying. I hate Harley Quinn in this movie. She was so irritating to watch. Like, I was kind of iffy on her with some of the other movies that this character has been in this universe timeline, if that makes sense. But in this one, I just can't stand her. She's so annoying. I also didn't really enjoy the editing of the film. It's pretty well known that this movie had a lot of studio interference, and there's basically two cuts of the film. One that was approved by the director, David Ayer, another one that was done by a trailer house, and they just kind of merged them together, and wow, was that a bad idea. Like, they're trying to be goofy like Marvel movies, I guess, and it just comes across as like unintentionally goofy. And the reason it doesn't work is because the movie as a whole takes itself super seriously, and it's just painful to sit through. I don't know what to say. I just couldn't really sit through this. I had to like take breaks every once in a while because I was just bored out of my mind. I also don't like how the music is used. It's used as a crutch, and they keep spamming a bunch of popular songs in the movie, and none of them fit the tone of the film, with it being so serious, and the soundtrack choices are supposed to make it feel like upbeat and playful and fun. But the movie never once earns this tone, so it just feels out of place. The special effects in this movie, they never looked good when this movie first came out, and they didn't age any better, I'll tell you that much. And the action scenes, I was completely let down by, because just about all of the action in the movie takes place at night, and we're fighting against creatures that are like black, and you can barely tell what's going on. And the movie looks ugly too. Like, everything just looks like it's completely devoid of color, and I just don't like the look of this movie at all. And throughout the entire film, this movie has zero self-awareness to it whatsoever. And that was something that was improved upon in The Suicide Squad. Like, it being self-aware about what it was actually complemented the film, and it went a long way. And I'm not saying that comedy on its own is what this movie needed. It just needed to have a better sense of what it was, because basically the good version of this movie is James Gunn's The Suicide Squad. So if you want to watch a Suicide Squad movie that's live action, watch that one, and skip this one because it's not good. And throughout the entire movie, I was just thinking to myself, why does the Suicide Squad even need to happen when you have the Enchantress already? Like, I know things go wrong by the end of it, but kind of just feels unnecessary in a sense. And like, the entire movie would not happen had it not been for Viola Davis's character. Like, the entire thing is just her fault, and the movie just doesn't really acknowledge this and kind of covers that up. And yeah, that was kind of annoying. The dialogue in this movie is terrible. Everyone, just like many DC films that are in this universe, or at least at this point, they all talk like machines, and no one even comes close to a human being. And there are some really funny lines in this movie, like unintentionally funny. And the standout for me was kind of early on in the film, when Viola Davis is talking about Deadshot after he was captured, and someone was asking, "What'd you do with him?" And she replied, and I kid you not, this is the line: "Let's just say I put him in a hole and threw away the hole." Like, the fact that you can say that and not laugh, that's impressive. That's honestly impressive. And that's about all I have to say about Suicide Squad. It's terrible. Just watch The Suicide Squad, the good version of this movie, and I will never be watching this movie again. So stay far away from this version. And with all that being said, I'm going to give Suicide Squad a 1 out of 10. Thank you for watching my videos. As always, if you enjoyed this review, be sure to leave a like and comment down below what you thought of Suicide Squad, and my social media links, they will all be in the description, so follow me there. And last but not least, subscribe to be a part of Foley Nation, and I'll see you when I get my next review up, and that is going to be for Lucy. So look forward to that, but until I get that up, thank you for watching and have a great day.